Hello. So today I want to talk about how I have increased my insulin sensitivity. I started thinking that I was going to do a video about how do you increase your insulin sensitivity, ways to increase your insulin sensitivity, and then I thought, I looked back at um, which videos were most watched on my channel, and it was my story of becoming carnivore was the one that was watched the very most. So I figured maybe I just needed to tell my story about increasing my insulin sensitivity. I've been a type 1 diabetic for 54 years, so I've been studying diabetes, but both type 1 and type 2 and all the different kinds of diabetes. Actually, they say now I think there's either 4 or 5. So insulin resistance is a real problem. There's type 1 diabetes, which everybody who's a type 1 diabetic has to take insulin in some kind of injections of insulin. Type 2 diabetics who start out being insulin resistant, and so they also most of the time take medications. There is the LADA, which is latent autoimmune diabetes for adults, and that's when you get, and it's also called type 1.5. It's a type 1 diabetic who is also insulin resistant at the time of diagnosis. And you're, usually over 30 when you get LADA. Now they're calling Alzheimer's and dementia type 3 diabetes of the brain, and I've heard PCOS called type 4 diabetes. I believe something is called type 5, but right now off the top of my head I can't think of what that is, but basically there's so many diseases that begin with insulin resistance. And if you're a type 1, insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity is still very, very important, because you want to take the least amount of insulin you can to get by, because high insulin levels are really not good for you. And if you want the scientific, you'll have to listen to Ben Bickman or some other doctor to get a further explanation. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I'm just a curious person who's had type 1 for a really long time, and I've studied a lot of stuff to try to get healthier. I am actually still trying to heal type 1 diabetes, and I've been shunned by a lot of type 1 diabetics because they all want to believe that it's not healable. Not all, but most want to believe that it's something that you'll always have to take insulin for. And I believe that if you work on trying to heal it, that you'll be healthier for it. And I'm not saying I will ever be able to not take insulin, but I work towards healing in all ways in my life. So whatever I can do to heal, that's what I'm doing. So yes, it would be great if I could heal. I haven't yet, and I've been working on it for about 48 years, ever since how long have I been trying to heal? It's been about 48 years, but I've had it for 54 years. So anyway, I want to go over the steps that I took to increase my insulin sensitivity. Now, first and foremost, I've always been underweight on all the charts. I've always been thin, and I think that when I was diagnosed at age 16, I was very underweight. And when I left the hospital, I was only on 32 units of insulin, which even at the beginning of my diagnosis was not a very big dose, and that's the most I've ever taken. So compared to other type 1 diabetics, I started out more sensitive. I don't know why, but that's what happened with me. So I went through a lot of different diets to try to find the best, and I've already been through that on some of my other videos if you want to go back and watch the other videos that I've done about what led me to carnivore. But each time I tried a different diet that lasted any length of time, like vegetarian, I was able to cut my insulin down by a little bit. And then when I went low carb, I was able to cut my insulin all the way down to 22 units. When I went keto, I got down to about 18 units. I lowered during my raw vegan years because I did a lot of fasting. I was able to lower my insulin even more. But on carnivore, and I've been carnivore for almost 6 years. So on carnivore, I've been able to lower my insulin even more, and I was taking about 12 to 15 units of insulin. But then at the beginning of this month in July, I started the Lion diet, and I've decreased my insulin by just a little bit, and I've been able to decrease my insulin down to about 9 or 10 units, 9.5 or 10 units, depending on how much I eat. So I've started doing a few things in more than just the Lion diet. Number one, I'm walking more. A couple of years ago when I started walking a lot, my goal was 5 miles a day, and then I increased my walking to 15,000 steps a day, and I just use my iPhone, and the activity tracker counts my steps, and which means I always have to have my phone on me if I want to count my steps. So that's the disadvantage of using your phone, is that you always have it. And I don't know how safe it is to keep it in my back pocket, but that's what I do. So it counts my steps, and I think yesterday I walked 8.8 miles. The most miles I can get on a day, which I think averages about 7 a day. Today it's rainy. I'm not sure I'm going to get as many, but walking has helped my insulin sensitivity dramatically. And another surprising thing, number two is grounding. So the way I do grounding is, when you connect with the Earth's magnetic field, so you take your shoes off and you walk on the grass. What I do is I take my shoes off and I go out in my front yard on a chair, and I sit and I read my fiction book that I'm reading at the time. I've really gotten into fiction lately, and it's been a wonderful, I don't know, it's just been a wonderful change in my life, so that's great. So I ground for about at least a half an hour every day. Other ways you can do it, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it during the winter because I live in Maine, and I'm not sure I'm going to be taking my shoes off or anything. And usually in Maine during the winter, I'm like, I got my hat, I got my scarf, I've got my mittens, my coat, my wool socks and boots. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do to ground. I'm going to have to think that through. But another way you can ground is to hug a tree. And I know if you were a hippie like me when I was younger, you know, we made jokes about hugging trees and we thought it was something funny, but it's not. Hugging a tree is grounding. The tree brings up that energy from the earth and you absorb it with your human body, and it's awesome. So that's another way to ground. So number 3 is go outside. It's kind of the same thing as grounding, but it's not. When you go outside, you get fresh air and you get the natural light from the sky in your eyes and through your skin and in your body. So going outside and letting the sun shine on your body increases your vitamin D, but it also increases your energy. And anything that does that increases your insulin sensitivity. You think back, early man, they're living outside 24/7. And they, that is, and nobody back then was insulin resistant. So it's like, how much can we do to get back to before agriculture? That's the aim. Okay, that was 3. 4, eat more meat. Okay, this one's going to be a little long because I went through times of being a raw vegan for years, and I was a vegetarian for years. I went 35 years without eating red meat. So if I just say eat more meat, I really mean it, because when I was a vegetarian and a vegan, my health declined. It didn't really make me insulin resistant, and that's what we're talking about today, but my health did decline. I wasn't getting the nutrients that I needed to get. So eat more meat. If you can, become a carnivore. Eat beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. Or, like I have, this month I started the Lion Diet. So I'm eating the beef form of the Lion Diet. I'm eating beef, salt, and water this month. And that has been a big way that I have decreased my insulin needs and increased my insulin sensitivity. Number 5, and this is still something that I'm not great at, but I know it makes a difference. Get better sleep. Now, how do you do that? I'm going to be 70 in a week, in less than a week. And I know that a lot of people have always told me that as you get older, you don't need as much sleep. And I don't really believe that. I still believe we need more sleep, but I do know that older people tend to wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning and stay awake for the rest of the night. They might get their reading done then. I am guilty of that. I usually wake up around 3 and have a hard time getting back to sleep. I still work on it. I still want to get more sleep, and I work on it. And the ways you can work on it is go to bed at about the same time every night. Get in a bedtime routine. Take a hot bath before you go to bed. Go to bed, maybe have your puppy dog in bed with you, or snuggle with your loved one. Have the lights as low as possible. Anticipate your sleep. The grounding has helped my sleep a lot. So it's just something to work on. Okay, my number 6, it's disappointing, but my number 6 is, if you are insulin resistant and you know it, you might need to drop dairy. Dairy, not only does it make you insulin resistant, but it can put you in a weight stall. If you're trying to lose weight, one of the first things you should do is to drop dairy, no cheese. I mean, butter, usually people say butter's okay, and maybe they're right, I don't know, but definitely drop milk and cheese. And see, do it for 30 days and see what happens. If you don't want to do it and you're really mad about it, just do it for a little while and see. But I think it really helps your insulin sensitivity. So those are the things that I've been doing. I also do meditation to help with my insulin sensitivity. Trying to think if there's anything else. There's a lot of supplements you can take that might help with your insulin sensitivity, but as I'm on the Lion diet, I don't really like to take many supplements at all. I might take a calcium magnesium, and I might take ashwagandha, and those I take because of my tendency towards high blood pressure, which is definitely better. So leave me a comment. Let me know if this is helpful, or if you disagreed with anything, or you agreed with anything. And then like and subscribe to my channel so you'll be notified when I get a new video up here. Now I will say, I apologize, I have not been posting my videos lately. I just wasn't sure what my next one should be, but I also want to remind you that I do group coaching, and if you want to be in my group coaching class, right now we have one class on Thursday nights at 7 Eastern, and we have a class on Zoom, and we talk all of our issues on carnivore and diabetes. And you don't have to be a diabetic to join. Just be aware of your blood sugars. You could be a type 1, a type 2, a LADA, just want to improve your blood sugars. That's what we talk about. What can we do to improve our blood sugars? Very much like what I just talked about just now. So if you want to join me, you can message me here on YouTube, or direct message me on Instagram or on Facebook. So I think that's all I got today. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too. And like and subscribe.